Hello and welcome to another edition of Stormz Tech Corner, the technical gaming podcast produced by the Dungeon Crawler Network. Join me, Stormzlord, as I journey through the technical side of gaming. This week, we're going to look at, if you don't notice on the screen, we're going to look at the Unreal Engine, some different things about it, and how relatively easy it would be to set up a simple prototype battle royale. Based on assets that are already in the store of Unreal or the Unreal Marketplace. All right, so Unreal was developed in 1998 for Unreal, right? The video game in 1998. Primarily developed for first-person shooters. It has been used to create other games as well. They're making forays into 2D games, mobile games, but they still have not caught up with Unity as the king of mobile games, but they're working on it. They are working very hard on it. Now, one of the differences you'll notice between, if you get in really soon to the Unreal Engine, is Unreal is not only written in C++, the scripts that you run are either written in C++ or you use their editor, which as a developer is a bit goofy, but that's okay. They also have something called blueprints. Basically classes or prototype or prefabs you have in Unity that allow you to quickly develop something without using C++. And there'll be a list of games that I have it down below for the Unreal Engine 4. We know Intrepid Studios' Ashes of Creation is using Unreal Engine 4, a modified version of it, but they're using it. We also know that Atlas, as well as Arc, also use Unreal 4. Their game was developed from a prototype, which we can look at later, called Shooter Game. Looks nothing like those two, but they took that that prototype tool and they used it and modified it to work as a game. I think it's pretty good. Looking at Unreal, you'll see the differences between it and Unity if you use Unity. But anyways, what we have here is a marketplace where I purchased a couple contents, one of them called Battle Royale version 2. What this is, and we're looking on the screen at the editor for it, the visual editor. It's a server-based game. Currently, it's set up to run with 2 or more people, so it won't start right now. But I can run it with 1. Let's look at it real quickly. Let's press play on the Unreal Engine. You see it's the Battle Royale template 4.21. I will soon do a lighting rebuild. I will be linking below to this asset, tremendous asset. If we close this, you'll notice the guy runs. Right, I've added a couple things from another Battle Royale asset or content called Polygon Battle Royale. What I'm going to do is I'm going to surface this game with the Polygon Battle Royale, so you'll be able to see that the houses, they're already built, they're moving forward. Now the 2D houses or 2-story houses have an issue, which I'm going to deal with this week before I show you next week the finished product. Notice that I just dropped it down and put it in. See, there's a tent. Okay, exciting. Let me show you what we have here. Again, I purchased these on the marketplace. If I exit out of there, you'll see I open up Polygon Battle Royale. I can go to the meshes. Let's go to the buildings. Let's grab another building. Let's grab that one. Poink. Okay, there's a garage. Let's go over here. Let's go back. Let's grab a vehicle. Not a tank yet, a Humvee. Okay, we got a Humvee. Boom. All right. So let's hit play again. Now you'll notice it's going to say 3 unbuilt light objects because it hasn't built the lighting for the objects we dropped in. All right, so the first building, this one I dropped first, I rebuilt the light. I have not rebuilt the light since I dropped the tent, the Humvee, which we just did, or the garage over here, again from the Polygon Battle Royale. Now this animation is very rudimentary. It came with the asset. There's other ones we can get to make it better. Now let me show you. We can also, again, just by picking up the asset in the store, it has some functionality to it already. Little things I would tweak. I would tweak probably how to look at it. Let's grab the yellow rifle. and therefore the yellow ammo. Whoops. Okay, let's grab a couple grenades. All right, let's switch to the grenades. Now you see I've done no coding. I picked up this asset in the store. I'm running around and it blew up a truck. Truck didn't blow up. I have to add some sort of script. What I'll do is I know there's some other ones out there that blow up the vehicle. So I will find that ability so we can blow up vehicles in the game that we have, hopefully for next week. All right, so this is what we have, right? You can run around, you can change your weapons. Nope, I have no ammo for this one. So let's switch. Thought I grabbed some. And here we go. Let's pick up this rifle. Not the grenade launcher. The green rifle. All right, we have the green rifle. Where's the green ammo? Those are bandages. Let's grab ammo type 3. Not sure if that's it. Ammo type 1. Okay, let's grab then number 2. It has 30, so what's the reload? Oh, R is the reload. Oh, let's see, it's got some sounds with it. Now you just notice it's got the mini map already set in here. Now you'll notice that when I started the server, once somebody was going to join, which I'm going to set it to one person, there's a shrinking circle, right? Now, not only did that happen, I also picked up another, or did that come with it? I picked up another content because I like the way it looked a little better. I have a battle royale zone that again I picked up on the marketplace. If you open the blueprint, whoop, not what I want to open. If you open up the animations, nope, the maps, we'll go to demonstration, load it, we'll save what we did, and then you play, right? So here's a shrinking zone. This was something that Ag mentioned last week, and from the ashes, and you know, sure enough, for $7 American, I did buy a shrinking zone. When I cross it, I start to get damage. When I come back, the damage stops. The shrink happens. It slowly shrinks over a number of seconds. So if I was to stand here, notice it's coming closer. All right, $7. Right now the animation's not much, and the robot we could replace, but those are again assets as well, which I'll show you as I replace those. All right, so that's how that works. Let's get out of there, and then let's go over. I did pick up another content, island landscape, to run this on. That looks a little more photorealistic, but my machine wasn't able to deal with that and everything else and build it at the same time. So I'm going to hold off and do something different. But okay, this is the Unreal Engine. This is the way it works, and this is the things we're going to look at. So again, I purchased these assets, 3 assets on the marketplace for $100-ish, $140 maybe. If you take out the one that I'm not going to use, probably $100. I will show you how it's going to work together. I will show you how it works with an airplane, right? So with the drop and everything, again, all built in. This is things that came along. Let's try this, see how this works. And we're going to close that, and that didn't work. Okay, so because we need to get that player to start. So we're going to do that. I'm going to get this player to start. I'll be back when we get the player to work by itself so we can see how it works. You notice there's already a map there. We got some more ammos to have. Again, this is all built in. Once I get this and show this how to work, we'll then go through it. We'll add some changes, and we'll talk about it. All right, now again, let's talk about the Unreal Editor. I am by no means an expert at the Unreal Editor. I'm more, not an expert, an intermediate at Unity. I've been working in Unity for almost 2 years now. But Unity is an object-oriented language when it scripts. So I've been doing object-oriented languages for 20 years. So I've got no issue with object-oriented languages. I know how they work. I know what they do. So let's look. Right, so let's look at one of the scripts they have. You notice that on this we have our viewer, right? Whether you're watching a game or you're looking at your content as it's being put together, you have your different objects over on the right. Click on object, details show down below. If you were to go over here, look at your content, open up this one, open up the main classes, go to settings, info. You can go into game mode settings, and there's a window which you didn't see pop up. This game mode setting, right, goes in, and you can set these variables for the script or for the blueprint without coding at all if you don't want to. Right, that's part of what this is for. You can code, but you don't have to code. You will eventually, but to get started, you don't need to get started. But if you did want to code, and if we want to open up, a window to show the structures, we have Visual Basic. In this case, we're using C++ as the language, not Visual Basic or .NET. But it's the same editor. I use this a Visual Studio editor for, so not Visual Basic, Visual Studio editor for C++. I use it for, Lua when we talk about Lumberyard. I also use it for Unity using C#. Again, this is if you want to get into the down and dirty code. This is where you go. Now, I am not purchasing or not making enough off any games from Unreal Engine to pay for it, right? With Unreal Engine, they have a situation with licensing where you can use it and sell games, but if you move over a certain amount of money, then you have to pay them a percentage. Now that percentage has gone down over the years, which is good. It helps indie studios get moving. But you also, if you're at a certain licensing situation, you can change the code of the engine. I'm not sure I'd ever want to change the code of the engine. Still not to that point yet. I can still work through a few things that just integration-wise, where we can make changes and integrate things together without changing the engine itself. Now, you can replace pieces. That's what these contents are about. That allows you to go in and make changes to content without changing the engine code itself. So we saw a script. We see the different details. Now, with regards to that lighting situation, let's open up, let's open up main map, which is what I had open. Now, that lighting situation, right, came up. What I can go to is I want to go to the lighting. Again, this is not my favorite editor yet. I'm trying, right? So let's go to lighting and relight it. So we're going to stop at 13 minutes and take out this part where I forgot how to do lighting because I've done it once. So stop. And that was lighting. We have the visual effects over here. We can add more things. We can add circles. We can add spheres. We can add all sorts of stuff by dragging it out and making it do things just by changing the properties on the right, changing the mesh, whether it's a cylinder or the mesh is a melee weapon or whatever it happens to be, right? So that's cool that you can do that. That's not what I'm interested in doing, and we just deleted an entire part of the map, so we're not going to save this. Notice the Jeep or the Humvee did not fall. All right, so we'll talk about that because right now gravity is not set to on. They have a different way of doing the gravity because if gravity was on, that Jeep would want to whoop unless there's an object right there, which I don't see. But there is some writing, so there may be an object. But I'm not sure how far that object goes. Let's delete that object. Nope. Okay, so they don't have gravity set to on. That Jeep would be falling into nowhere. But that's okay. Again, there's that starter zone. This is the battle royale. This is the piece we're looked at. We're going to look at some more. We've looked at lighting. I'm going to show you what I've done to remap some of this to use the polygon battle scene, as well as get some more different animations, look a little better eventually. But I like the look of the polygon Battle Royale. It doesn't look photorealistic. It doesn't need to. They've done that. They've done everything. So it's a matter of what I want it to look like. I'll probably change the storm or the zone as it comes in to just kill everybody. But I'll show you how that works as well. I'll show you what the pieces on the right. We have text renderers. We have vehicles, we have pistols, we have rifles. Everything's an object, right? Every object has its details below. Whether or not you use Unity or you use Lumberyard or you use Unreal, there's objects, they have properties. You can edit the blueprints if you want to. You can edit the scripts that you want to, as long as they're not in the engine itself. Now, if you notice, one thing about Blueprint is that you can do changes by using not scripts, but we'll call them nodes, where you can make things happen without actually writing a script. You have variables in those nodes. They have something similar in Unity, but they are assets that you buy from the asset store. They sort of have it a little bit too as well, regular built in the engine, but we'll work on that. Okay, so this is the beginning of this episode. We've looked a little bit about the main map. We're going to exit it without saving it. We're going to come back in a little bit and look at what we've done, how we've got it so that the server will start with one player. We can run around with one player, or we can set it up to run as a separate machine and connect it so you can see two machines running around. This again is a look at the Unreal Engine. All right, so we've done some development here. We are looking at the Battle Royale that was purchased from a marketplace on Unreal. Currently, all I've done is I've added some items to the small map. I'm working on the large map, but I've added some items. I've copied some stuff from the Polygon Battle Royale. You'll notice how they look different. So that will eventually, hopefully within a couple days, change the character from this Android-looking character that comes with Unreal to a more Polygon-type character or set of characters. But I wanted to show you that this is about 3 hours worth of investigation and work with purchasing the Battle Royale. And on top of that, Unreal is not my main engine at this point, though I'm starting to think about it. So really, altogether, this is not a lot of work. This is all about, though, the decision of buy versus build. I am in no way saying development is not tough. Whether you integrate or whether you build from scratch, it's tough no matter what you do. So please take that, as it is. I am a developer. I am an integrator. I do both. If I like what I get to buy, I'll buy that piece. That's a piece I don't have to work on right then. If I want to tweak it, I can. But remember, anytime you tweak something that you buy, you're going to have to maintain that going forward. So when somebody who owns that, right, that you're just buying it or licensing it from, when they make updates, you're going to have to update your integrations. So when you do a buy versus build decision and you lean toward the buy decision, you want to make sure that you think about any changes you make to that buy piece so that you know what you're going to have to change going forward. A lot of times, a lot of folks who do the buy decision as opposed to the build end up making huge changes every time an update occurs. So you have to be very careful with the integration. You want it loosely coupled, not tightly coupled, loosely coupled as you go forward. But okay, that's a thing we can talk about later. But let's go ahead and show this. So we're going to host a game session on this particular one. I'll show you the big with the plane drop later. We're going to do a LAN game. We're going to do 2 max players, 2 min players. I'm going to start my other machine here now. So let's see. Let's host the game. All right, so I'm hosting it on my laptop. I'm going to find a game session on my desktop, and it should find it, and I'm going to load the level. So now they found the gaming server. It's going to pop up over here. Again, same thing. Hey, this is Waterworld. I am working on, this is a work in progress, some floating buildings. But again, I just bought this. I just put it together. 3 hours worth of work, not bad. Now there's your zone, right? We got some crates. We got some containers that have collision put together, all that. Great, fantastic game, I think, for 3 hours. Wrong keyboard. Now I'm going to have to get the other controller in. Now he's out of zone. So this guy is in zone. Let's make sure he's in zone. I didn't get any weapons. Just need to jump a little higher. Again, this is just a demo that this Polygon put together. It's a great demo. I'm going to go ahead and do some more stuff to it. But this was just, again, in a 3-hour span of time, this is what I was able to put together with a game engine. Now there's some things like the motorcycle should fall over, and we don't have the weapons. There should be weapon drops, airdrops. We'll work on all that, and let's see if I can get airdrops going by the end of this. I got a weapon. By the end of the game, I will see if I can get an airdrop working. End of game, end of podcast, right? So I'm recording it. I'm going to wait a couple hours and do another recording. And I'm trying to find out where my other guy is. See if I can shoot him. Oh, the shooting's not working. Again, see, there's build versus buy, but you should be careful with build versus buy. But again, 3 hours worth of work. We have a really good, interesting game, I think. The other person is out of zone, or the other game is out of zone, so I wish the game should end a minute. Oh, he died over there, out of zone. The zone is shrinking. Again, I've spent about $100-ish. Unreal so far is phenomenal. So we'll go from there. Again, buy versus build, the decision you have to make. Again, buying is not a bad thing. Building is not a bad thing. You have to plan each way. If you're going to buy, you have to plan for updates or not updates. You have to plan for integrations as you go forward. If you're going to build, you have to plan for the same thing. Make sure you don't make things too coupled. Make sure they can replace them. Things like that. You either spend the dollars to build them with time and money, or you spend them with money without time to a build. Again, either one to me is okay. I'm okay with either direction. I just want to make sure that what I end up with is a good product. So this is a look at the BR game as it is. We're going to take a break here for a second. When we come back, we're going to look at the inside of Unreal, at the map that I put together. Again, real quickly, just dropped it from a demo map from there. So there's a lot of work left to do, right? So you can't build a game in 3 hours. You can't do that. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. This is an ugly lobby scene. But again, we'll work on that. We'll work on airdrops. But I'm showing you this build versus buy. Right? We're talking about building versus buying and taking on the challenge of, can you do a BR zone and buy it? Well, yes, you could for $8. You also got the one that came with here with this particular asset or blueprint or package or whatever you want to call it. But okay, so let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, now we are to the point where we're going to look at what I've done. Haven't done a whole lot. Like I said, 3 hours-ish worth of stuff, finding out what was going on. So first, what I did is I went to the marketplace that is available for Unreal Engine. I will be continuing on with this. I think this looks like a lot of fun. I'm going to probably change up the environment, but I'm not sure. We'll figure out how that goes. So again, what I did is went to the library. I picked up a Battle Royale template. I picked up Island Landscape A, and I picked up Battle Royale Zone. Picked up Medieval Dungeon, but didn't use it yet. But anyways, I actually am not going to use Battle Royale Zone because Battle Royale template has that. Also, I picked up Polygon Battle Royale right here. So I'm going to use these two, or I am using these two currently. Battle Royale template, inventory included, and the Polygon Battle Royale. I'll put the listing down below. What I did is I started a project called The Island. So the Unreal set up the project, set everything together, and I called it The Island. Okay. Then what I've done is I added Battle Royale template to the Island project, and I added Polygon Battle Royale to the project as well. So that puts us in the state of where we then had, if we went back to the Battle Royale template, maps, we had the main map, which currently is this map, right? That wasn't their main map. What I've done is I had a map called main map hold, or they had a map called main map, right? And I added a building here for the fun of it to see if it would work. But I didn't want to use this plain looking map, right? I wanted to use something a little more jazzy. So that's why I had the Polygon Battle Royale. So I renamed main map hold, or main map hold. I did that because I know when you launch this game, something in the code is telling the lobby which map to load by selections. It doesn't say the name of the map to us so that we can see. So that means it's somewhere in the code. I didn't want to mess with finding that yet. Eventually I can do that if I want to. But what I did is I renamed main map hold, real sneaky, and then named the map that I wanted, called a copy of main map, called it just main map. So by renaming the copy main map, when the lobby starts it starts my version of main map. Now I also, when I went into the Battle Royale Polygon, I looked at their maps. They had one called Demonstration and one called Overview. So we'll look at that first. Look at Overview. Now what Overview is, it shows us what's available, right? So if all this stuff is available, we have planes, we have wrecked planes, we have tents, buildings, clouds, people, airdrops, and all sorts of stuff, right? Which is phenomenal. And this is a good thing to start with. So I'm like, well, that's great. I can use all that. And so look at the demonstration map. So what they had done is they had set up a map here. Looks really neat, right? Bridges, water, mountains in the background, right? Different little things in here that you can use. And this is a cool thing. I'm like, well, I don't want to spend a lot of time just for a prototype on how this would work. So eventually I'll have to build a larger map or sets of maps. For now, all I did was for the smaller one, I'm like, well, that probably fits the smaller map for the Battle Royale template. So I'm like, let's give it a shot. So basically I selected everything except the cameras and the light sources, got rid of the mountains, got rid of the clouds, and then just copy and paste it, right? This is not a secret. This is not a huge thing. I just copy and paste it over into main map. Now what I did is, if I noticed that leaving a little bit of bridge stick out, so this in the water, right? Currently the startup is sort of underwater because I haven't decided what to do with that yet. The startup zone is there. That's where you start up. It then teleports you into the map when the game starts, and this is where the zone is, right? So that Battle Royale zone already there. And all I did was copy and paste the demonstration map over. Again, this is not a sellable product. It's just a demonstration. I really think I'm going to switch out of some of the mobile games I'm doing and try a Battle Royale and see if I can get that onto something different. But for now, we'll talk about that later. I think this would be great to get on like Xbox just to try, right? Let's get something published. Let's try it, see how it works. Without a cash shop, just pay $5, play the Battle Royale, boom, we're done. But again, let's say it works. Anyway, so I copy and pasted it. That's all I did. There's a couple problems with that. I've used Polygon in the past working on the Dungeon Crawler 1, and one of their items is their second floors don't have collision. So when you walk upstairs, you fall through the floor. So we'll work on that. I currently just dropped it in as it is. We'll have to work on make sure the second floor has collision so you don't fall through. We're also going to work on the collision for the buildings it has collision in the buildings, but we'll work on different things. So we're going to work on that. But again, all I do is copy and paste it. It fits in there. I'm like, all right, perfect. It fits in. The bridge just sticks out a little bit. That can stick into the starter zone if we wanted to. Now, if I want to clear out the starter zone, I can do that, right? I can do a couple things. I can lift the starter zone higher so you don't see any of that water. I just haven't looked in to see how that works. But I can do that. So, but what I did is also I had to rebuild the light because the game was built, the lighting was built for just what was already there. So I added the bake for the lights. Basically then what I had to do was go in and make sure all of them were marked as static, so the buildings weren't going to be moving, right? The buildings are static. We're going to keep those, no shadows needed. We did that. And then what I did, besides copying and pasting that in, is I started working on the airplane map, right? Because this is a bigger map, much larger map. I put some buildings there for the fun of it. But this is the plane that starts with a building that starts with a plane. So, or the map that starts with a plane. So this coding for the plane is what comes in Unreal. And this came with the plane that came with Polygon. I'm sorry, the plane that came with the template. And what I wanted to do was replace the mesh. The mesh, to me, looked a little goofy. The mesh was, let me pick the mesh. Let's see. We'll call that the mesh. Nope, that's not it. It says there somewhere. Anyways, so I did that, and then I've been monkeying around this rotation because when I started it, the plane was flying sideways. So I went in and made some changes. Again, I didn't make code changes. So far, I've integrated assets without code changes. If possible, you want to see what you can integrate without having to change the code itself, because you want to be able to update freely as updates occur. So if someone was to upload, say Polygon or Synthety would upload or upgrade their battle royale set, and they changed the plane so it was different colors or different shapes or whatever, I could just do an upgrade without having to go into the code, which is good, right? You want to keep your build versus buy decision. If you can make a change and not have to code and allow for an upgrade, that's great. Now, if you have to, that's okay too. But remember, everything you mark, or everything you change, you're going to have to change your integration. So again, so far, no code integration as it is. So all I did was go in and change the mesh of the plane, right? So the plane looked different than it did now. Same thing I'm working on right now is I'm changing the person or your character. So if you look at the template, the BR characters, right now the BR character is male, and it uses the model. Currently it's set to use a specific model that isn't working yet, right? Because you can tell when you are working on a character or an animation piece, if you click on the mesh, you can change the mesh, right? You change the look on the outside. Now I changed this mesh to the military male because I wanted to try to see what would happen. So I did that, and then I ran it. And then let's run it so you can see it here for a second. All right, now here's the problem. Look at the character, right? His arms are outstretched. That, for some reason, is the standard animation for I can't find my animation. So I'm going to stand here. I'm moving where you tell me to move, but I'm not going to move my arms, my legs, my nose, whatever. It's not going to move, right? So we're going to go back to where we did, and I've been monkeying around with this and then trying to find out what's going on, why we didn't do it. But if you change it back to the mannequin that they used, okay, the mannequin skeletal mesh, you'll see as long as we have the animation set and we save it, and then we're going to play, you're going to see he's ready, right? Nope, let's see, he's not moving right either. So you notice that? So this is something I'm working on, right? So we'll come back to this. But whenever the animation just stands there and doesn't do anything, that means something is missing, right? They can't find the animation. I don't know what you want me to do. So that's typically what that does. They stand there with their arms out and don't move. So we're looking at that. I'm not quite sure why this guy's not doing it. Let's see. So we're going to leave that go. We're going to come back to that later. But again, this is what taking an asset and building a prototype is all about. We took the challenge of can we build or can we buy a battle royale really quickly. From this evidence, it's going to be possible to build a simple battle royale quickly. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this as an initiative to go ahead and build a battle royale. I'm going to see how I can distribute it to people to play it. Sort of a test environment here. It may take me a couple weeks to get this prototype going, but that's all it's going to take. It's a couple weeks to get the prototype going because I have a template that does most of my work. Now, again, I don't control the networking that came with Unreal. I don't control the animations at this point. I'm letting them use whatever they used. I may tweak a little bit, but I'm not planning on writing any particular code. I'm going to put collisions in the buildings on the second floor, things like that. There's not an airdrop in this particular template, so I'm going to purchase an airdrop to go with it because there's a parachute in the Polygon one. So let's go to Marketplace. Let's type in drop. Oh, Battle Royale airdrop. All right, there you go, $9. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try this. It's got one review, not a whole lot yet. Seems to be okay. We're going to buy this. I'm not going to buy it on screen so you can see my password, but we're going to buy this one and we're going to add it to the prototype and modify what we need to allow it to work. So we're going to do that. We're going to set up the environment. We're going to build a better field. I don't think we're going to have 100 players, so I'm going to build or use a smaller layout than this large layout. I'm also not going to do the layout that's so small that just 2 people can play. So I'll figure it out. I'm going to build something over the next couple weeks. I also use in a couple of my other games or prototypes, I've used procedural generation, which I'll do an episode on. I may use procedural generation to work with this, so it sets it up, but I'm not sure. I got to work on it, see how it's going to work. But so we'll come back. I'm not sure what week we'll come back. We'll look at this, and we'll see where we're gotten to. But again, looking at this, it's a buy versus build decision. Anytime you do something in code now in the current day, you have to make a decision. Do you want to buy? Do you want to build? Neither one to me is better than the other. You have to weigh each one based on what your factors are, what your criteria are. You have to build, decide. If you decide to build, you're going to have to do everything, right? Now, even if you decide to build, you're not building from scratch. Don't fool yourself, right? Oh, I built from scratch. Well, you didn't because you're using an engine, right? But okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm using an engine, why not use pieces that are already there and make it that much faster? Now, if you need to change something because you don't like the way it works, the decision is, again, do you buy it or do you build it? If you have to build it yourself, great. If you want to build your own anti-cheat engine, have at it. I am and never will be an anti-cheat expert. I know what they do. I know how they do it, but I am not an expert. I'm not going to build one. I'm going to buy one, right, and license it so I can use it with my game. Same thing with this, with the Battle Royale. I don't need to know how to code this zone. I don't need to know how to code an airdrop, right? Even if I decide, Let's say I'm a 100-person company, 200-person company. I'm Blizzard. I'm Blizzard times 2. If I want to build something, I'm going to pay somebody to do it, not do it myself. Right? I may want to do a piece of it, but I'm going to pay somebody. I'm going to pay 100 people to do it. Now, whether I'm paying 100 people doing it now, or I'm paying somebody or 100 people who did it before, to me, it doesn't matter. It's what the end product is that matters. It is good for the game. If it's good for the customer, if it's good for the manufacturer, great. Let's make our best decision. Make it with each individual piece to an extent. Decide what engine you want to do. Again, we've looked at Unity. Now we're looking at Unreal. We're going to look at Lumberyard as well in a couple weeks. You can see how that works. I'm actually excited about Unreal. I'm excited about this adventure of doing this this battle royale. See how this comes out in the next couple weeks. I think that we could get something pretty good here. Now I got to remember, Unreal is not as good yet with interfaces, and not as good yet with Android, Apple, but it's on its way, right? Remember, Unity's been around a lot longer. It has had time to get there. Up until a couple of years ago, Unity wasn't that smart on 2D anyways. So, Unreal's in a couple of years behind that. And Lumberyard is a couple of years behind that. So we'll see where that goes. I'll probably end up using both engines. One for something I'm working on the side that I think is pretty cool to help out some different streamer type things, but that's a different story. And I'll probably continue with Unity for that because it's an interface that I want to work on. But this one I think is pretty cool. This Battle Royale I think is pretty easy to set up. We're going to play around with it, see how it works. So far, I haven't tested it, but it looks pretty good. So, I played it a couple times myself, played it with a couple people. But let's get some different weapon visions in there, different looking weapon characters. Got all that, so let's put it in there and see how it looks. But again, we're gonna replace things. We're not gonna do something. Notice if we have the characters we can replace. There's an inventory pickup system. There's assets they have, right? They have the jet aircraft, the jet loop, the pickups. Right, so they have launcher weapons and pistol weapons and rifle physics and all this sort of stuff. We can replace these, right? So if you notice the mesh for Battle Royale, if you go into the meshes, they have weapons, right? They have grenade launchers, they have pistols, they have whatever you want, right? So we're going to use the polygon ones. We're going to replace the mesh over on the other side. Again, not a big deal. It's just what we want to do. We want to do some replacement. We're not doing any coding as of yet. What I will do, though, is I will mark anytime I've got to do some coding so we can talk about that as well. And we'll make this an ongoing, every little bit series, look at to where we're headed, what we've done in the past, and how we're doing on this Battle Royale game. For now, we're just going to call it the Island. We may call it something different later. But I think it'll be interesting to see how it all works together. We'll talk about it. We'll look at different things. Again, so far, all I've done is change a map. I've added a couple buildings. I'm working on changing the characters so it's not your Android looking, and we'll go from there, right? So we'll take this journey. We'll see how it's going to look. Maybe every couple of weeks, like I said, we'll come back and we'll revisit where we're at, what we've done, see how it works, and then we'll go from there. Again, the plan is to not put it to mobile, so I'm not choosing the polygon style for that. I just like the style, so I'm going to go with that style as opposed to hyper realistic. I'm also going to try to move this toward a Windows release on the Windows on Microsoft Store. If it works out, we'll talk about Xbox. We'll see how that goes. We'll see what happens. So okay, again today we've looked at a game we purchased or template purchased on the marketplace. We've looked at different assets or different pieces of content that we've taken out or purchased and brought from the marketplace. We're starting to integrate them together. So far, no code changes, and we'll go from there. Again, thank you very much. This is Stormz. This is my Tech Corner for Dungeon Crawler Network. You can check my stuff out at digitalpiperstudios.com. You can check Stormzlord at twitter.com. You can also check us all out at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. Check out our other podcasts, From the Ashes, Tales of Tamriel. Lots and lots and lots of episodes of Tales of Tamriel. Let's go back forever. We're really going to enjoy this journey, at least I will. Hopefully you will as well. And I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.